such a pleasure. Remember when you tried to kill me twice? Oh, how we laughed and laughed, except I wasn't laughing. Under the circumstances, I've been shockingly nice. You want your freedom, take it. That's what I'm counting on.
Hello, YouTube and podcast listeners. It is me, Amaxter, back with Behind the Mod, Season 3, Episode 9, with iChun. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, so you've made a lot of Minecraft mods, like too many for me to list, but like I think your biggest one's like Portal Gun probably, or Gravity Gun, Sink, Morph, a lot of them.
Yeah, those are the few anyways. Hats is another one. I think Gravity Gun actually isn't as popular as the others, but it's somewhere up there as well.
Yeah, and you've modded Minecraft for a while, since I don't know the exact date, but at least like 5-6 years, right?
Yep, I don't either actually. I think at this point now it'll be within a week of 6 years.
And where did that begin? Like, how do you discover Minecraft, and then how do you discover modding for it?
Well, I found Minecraft through a couple of friends, and we were playing vanilla for a bit. And back then, it was Minecraft was still in alpha, so it wasn't very playable, as in like in survival. It wasn't very playable to begin with. And later on, I discovered mods. A friend of mine showed me a couple of mods, and at some point, I was thinking I should try and make a mod, but I didn't know what to make at that point. It seemed as if there was already something that's been done, or something that is like, all the interesting things have pretty much been done at that point. And my friend just suggested Portal Gun, and I thought, yeah, that actually be something nice to try and do. And about 2 weeks later, I think it took me about 2 weeks to make Portal Gun. And that was my first mod.
And you weren't approaching it from a place where like a lot of people, think of Minecraft modding as like tech and stuff, but lots of people just mod Minecraft for fun. Like they want to add some wacky stuff into the game. And I think so many of your mods reflect that kind of view. A lot of them.
Yes,
yeah.
they do.
So Portal Gun, it blew up really early. Like I think some people made spotlights of it, but it got really popular. What was that like?
Honestly, it's been so long now that I actually don't remember anymore. It's 6 years back, like I said. It's I don't know. I was quite happy to see gain the popularity, but I tried to focus purely on Portal Gun for a couple of months. At the same time, it was also my first project in Java, and I was just learning proper programming at that point, so my code was a bit of a mess, you could say. But I did enjoy the fact that it was getting a lot more popular over time, and that was mainly one of the reasons I focused purely on it for quite a while before I actually made another mod. So,
and if I remember, there was like a Portal Gun map in vanilla Minecraft or something that was like kind of popular at the time too. But so to have this mod let you actually do it in a much more like clean way, I think was really appreciated then.
In fact, I've actually had a collaboration with one of the map makers at that point. Legos My Egos, I think. I've never really figured out how to pronounce it properly. I think it's one of the waffle brands, something in the States.
Yep, it is.
Yeah, so he was known by that, and there was a friend of his called Vorteros, and one more called, at this point now he's known as iChun, and he's in the UK. I'm still in touch with iChun actually, but the other two I've kind of sadly lost touch with. But they used to make a pretty good Portal Gun mod, like map, that was very different from Portal. It was basically their own ideas, their own puzzles made to fit in within Minecraft and to fit around the mod.
Yeah, and I think that was around the moment that people started realizing, hey, like you can basically build your own portal in Minecraft. You can do so much with it in game, especially when you open up mods for it. So you have lots of your mods are really geared like for that spotlight kind of showcase, because they're really they're unique. They have sometimes weird ideas, but they can be shown quickly, and they're always pretty cool. Do you design them that way?
At some point, I don't know, it's just like I mod because I want to. It's not okay. At some point, the community has some influence, but ultimately, it's more of I'm modding because I want to. I've had this cool idea, and I know that I can do it. So that's basically where all my mods come in, and where the ideas come from. Just looking at anything, anywhere, whatever scenario, I would be able to get them. I like trail mix. Trail mix. That mod actually came in the shower. I won't elaborate on what happened in the shower, but it happened like the idea came in when I was in the shower, and then like Morph, it was that one came when I was looking at a video on another Minecraft mod, and that was basically me thinking that the mod had like so much more potential. It could be a lot greater, and unfortunately, I didn't approach the author of that mod. I tried to do my own kind of experiment first to see if it was possible, and it was. So that's pretty much how Morph turned out to be.
And between like trail mix and the the power generation and sync and all and like the pig grinder, there seems to be a common theme with the pigs in a lot of your mods.
Um, I would have to admit at this point, I'm gonna have to be sorry like, to disappoint you guys right now, but like my influence, my like attraction to the Minecraft pig is more so because the community kind of expects it from me. Every time that I have used a pig in Minecraft, it's because that I actually had a rational idea around using the pig. For example, trail mix at the time. Trail mix, the pig was the only mob that you could ride at the time, and you couldn't really do anything with it. The carrot on the stick wasn't there. All you did was just sat on the pig and just hoped it walked off a hill and hurt itself so you could get achievement or something like that. So I thought that, like, say, riding a pig had so much more potential. And at that point, we had minecarts already, we had boats, so we had water transport, we had land transport. What else did we not have? We didn't have flight. We didn't have flight, so that's why riding on pigs, they propel themselves forward, and you can get airborne that way. That's why I was using pigs. It was the only mob that you could ride on at that point. And then say the pig launcher in Trail Mix was just to go along with the whole fun kind of wacky idea that Trail Mix already gave out. But in my other mods, say it fell from the sky, one of my mod jam mods. The reason the pig, like the meteorite turns into a giant pig is because if you might not realize, but the pig is the only passive mob within the game that has a cube head. Every other passive mob has a cuboid head, and I was looking for a mob that had a cube head, in which the pig was the only passive mob in Minecraft that had such. And then I'm trying to think of like what other instances of the pig that I've used in sync. In sync, that was actually at the point where I realized the community was expecting me to do something with pigs. So that was probably why I used the pig.
The treadmill, yeah.
And
you've been in real life, you're a pretty busy guy because you're a medical student. So how do you find the time to release so many mods?
Back then, when I started modding, I actually hadn't gone into medicine yet. I was still just in my last year of high school. So the thing about high school over here, you can kind of just cram everything at the last minute. That's not saying that's what I did. I just, even with studying consistently, I still had a lot of free time afterwards. And moving on, like from high school, I got pretty good grades. I went to college. And even then as well, it's just like I had a lot of free time after studying. Then moving on to medical school, the first few years you don't really require that much of like hard work as well. But like at the stage that I'm in right now, where I'm actually in the hospitals, going on rounds and stuff like that, that is very demanding, which is kind of why that like I don't really have that much time to do mods anymore. But back then, many years ago, before I got into med school, I did have a lot of time to work on mods.
And lots of that, like the creativity you see in the mods, I think it comes from like hats and like you mentioned, trail mix or
Sorry,
those
could you
are
repeat
mods.
that? It was kind of choppy. Couldn't hear you.
Okay. A lot of your mods come from like Mod Jam, like hats. And I think there's a lot of other examples. I believe Sync was a Mod Jam mod too. And there's I think countless other examples. What appeals to you about that kind of nature of modding, where you mod in like 24 hours and you make something?
I think in those kind of scenarios, it's kind of hard to say because all of my Mod Jam mods, except for the last Mod Jam, have been either slated for a rewrite or have been rewritten. It's just like when you try and cram as much as you can do in like 96 hours or so, which was what Mod Jam was doing, you rush things and you don't really you can't really think straight because you're just thinking you need to get this done, you need to get this done, and then the code kind of comes up a little bit messed up, a bit messy. Then when you come back to that months later, you think I could have done this in such a better, more efficient way. In that's mainly why like a lot of my mods have been rewritten, especially like when you gain more experience, when you've been working on stuff for a while, and then you realize, oh, this could have been done in a much better way. Mod Jam, it kind of just puts you in that scenario where you're just pressured to try and just get it done. And as a result, the underlying code that makes everything run doesn't run as smoothly as it could.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that's like why Portal Gun has been rewritten, I think, like 4 times now?
I think it's close to four, maybe give or take one or two times. But the thing is, you see, Portugal was my first ever mod, and prior to that, I've only had light experience in doing some scripts for like maybe a website or maybe I think I was doing some stuff for Counter Strike 1.6 as well. So this was my first Java project. It's my first time getting in Java, and I've learned so much since. I would admit to you that if I go back to like 6 years ago and I look at my source then, I would probably just cringe at how bad it is. You learn so much when you practice and practice and you practice. You just tend to learn things over time, and it actually helps a lot. All of this like consistent, well, not really consistent, persistence that I've put in over the years. I've learned a lot mainly from practice. I've actually not done like any teachings or like tutorials on how to code. It's just like mainly trial and error. So over time you learn more and more things. And Portugal has been rewritten that many times because I've just realized that, oh, this could have actually been done in a better way. This could have been done in a more efficient way. And sometimes, the idea also needs like a bit of a refresh, where like Portugal has been written a few times because most of the things in there I felt were a bit clunky. Didn't really fit together, something like that, or they didn't fit in like the survival kind of environment for Minecraft, where it limits you to like about 4 global portals and 2 of your own personal ones. It's very restrictive. So sometimes you got to refresh an idea, think about things over and over in great detail, see how you want to do it, and see if it fits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with Portal Gun, do you plan on like rewriting that or porting it to 110 or 111?
I do, I definitely do, but the main obstacle right now is actually getting the portal rendered to make its return to Minecraft. Back then when I'm not sure if you've seen it in Minecraft before. I think it was very early on. That render was actually written by Chicken Bones. I actually sought his help back then because I wasn't very good at rendering myself, so I sought his help and he did this for me. But because of the performance issues, I had no choice but to have to remove it. And over time, I've had more experience with rendering. If you had a look at Doors, an April Fool's mod I made a couple years ago, and I think in Block Steps, I'm actually gonna be using the way Minecraft works. What I've learned from doing those two mods, I'm gonna be combining them together to make Portal's rendering. And I actually had a bit of a proof of concept about a year ago at this point, but then life came in the way, and I got busy, and I wasn't able to update the mod on time. So I was actually hoping to try and get it done this time around, but like I said before, medical school demands so much from me that like I'm easily in the hospital and in classes from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And by the time I get home, I'm just like tired. The only thing I want to do is just like prepare for the next day and go to bed, that sort of thing. So as far as like the free time I have right now to even port mods, I actually have about 4 or 5 mods waiting to be released right now. It's just they've only got one issue right now that I need to sort out. Then they'll be ready for an update. I'm trying to get things done as quickly as I can, but a lot of people also do not realize that all of this takes a lot of time, especially when you're porting, say, a simple mod, what I would perceive as simple, and then when I port it over to a new Minecraft version, there are over 300 or 400 errors there, and I'm like, wow, okay, I thought this was a simple mod. Suddenly there's so many things that I need to sort out. So it does take a lot of time, but hopefully I definitely had plans in trying to bring it back to the latest Minecraft version. Let it be like 1.10, 1.11, or maybe 1.12 at that point.
And how do you decide like which mods to port, which ones to keep? Like, because obviously you have limited time these days. How do you decide? Hey, I want to port, like, definitely want to port Portal Gun because that's popular. Like, or I like this mod. Like, how do you go about that?
It mainly comes from like I gotta go and think like how simple would it be to port. Those would be the first ones down the line, and then later on it kind of goes in priority of like say how popular the mod is. Say Portagon is really high on the like say the popularity list, but at the same time trying to port it or trying to rewrite it will demand a lot more time. So maybe you could say I'm just like balancing the ratio of how popular it is or how much demand there is for it over the amount of time it'll take for me to update it.
You've also released like Googly Eyes and Better Than Bunnies, which are new mods, like very small but kind of simple, funny new mods for 1.10 though.
Yeah, that's because they're not dependent on iChun util, which is my main library mod, and like iChun util itself takes quite a significant amount of time to update. And because they're not dependent on that, it's a lot easier to update them, and they're also very small mods, and they're not the code that they touch in within Minecraft hasn't really changed over time, so it's also a lot easier to update them. But they are this little small little silly mods that actually they weren't my ideas at all. They were Quetsy's ideas. Quetsy is another live streamer. He just like randomly just suggested this thing to me, and he knows I'm that sort of person. So it's just like, I'll think about it. But in the end, I end up doing it anyways, and people like them. People like the stuff I do. So that's pretty much how it happens.
Yeah, and for that, like getting back to what you were mentioning with block steps and doors and the rendering lessons you're learning, in general, all of your mods have a lot of cool animation and model stuff going on, like picture in picture, like even some of the simpler ones, you do all sorts of crazy stuff that just, or mob dismemberment, like these nice effects that really, you can tell like, hey, that's an iChun mod because it has some like crazy rendering thing going on. Why do you do that?
Sorry, why?
Why do you do that?
Why? I don't know. I've always had this thought, but sometimes you get some inspiration. You don't know what you want to do, but you just want to do something amazing. And for me, that would be rendering. Like that would be. It's not so much like rendering something new. It's more so random manipulation. So if you notice, it's a lot of things I do, like you mentioned, picture in picture and mob dismemberment. They're not really adding new stuff. They're just more of taking what's already there and just adding to it.
Yeah, so it's more just you have something already and you just use it in a cool new way. And getting back to your mods, you have this thing called Mod Lister, which is like a service and a mod that lets people share like a mod pack basically, or a list of mods in this simple way. What inspired you to do that?
That one's also another idea from Quetzy. He was trying to work on it, but I could see like he showed me his code, and I was thinking like there's many improvements you could make to this, and at the same time I'm thinking there could be other people that could be using this. So we just went ahead and made it more of an online service. I'm actually not sure how many people like how many people are using it, but like because it's there, it's something that's worth having a service for. I've just kept it updated. Actually, as of late, I've not been the one that's been keeping it updated. Quetsy's the one that's been keeping it updated. It's just that I helped initially, so we've just been working together on that.
And with yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Um, when you have like looking back at all your mods, what would you say you're like personally the most proud of when it comes to like an effect or something you did? Uh, just programming or visually, like however, like what personally would you say you're the most proud of in any of your mods? Like something cool you really did, like for example, the mob dismemberment effect or like shatter, like the souls effect. Like, what do you think is the coolest thing you've done with that?
I would have to say that the the code that I'm most proud of would be rendering another part of the world in within the world, something like Portal's rendering. Portal Gun itself has not had any of it whatsoever, but I did have one mod which unfortunately by now has been scrapped. It very effectively rendered a different part of the world in where you were as if it was just seamless and you could cross through the other side just seamlessly, and that is actually what I'll be putting into Portugal in the next update. But like next to that, I would say Morph would be a close second because uh, a lot of people have complained about how complicated and how clunky the model code is in within Minecraft. So as a result, not many people have actually done any manipulation with models the way I have. And I'm very proud of that because it took me a very long time and I got very frustrated trying to figure it out. But I finally did it and I'm just very happy with the results.
Yeah, and it's really cool. And you even made like an in-game tabula, which is like a modeler for Minecraft in-game also.
That was actually more so because there weren't really that many tools for you to make a Minecraft model. There was Techne, which a lot of people used back in the day, but the author of it didn't really fix any issues or he didn't really update it. They were trying to favor a fully online version of it, but they kind of neglected the one that was already out there. So as a result, something kind of needed to be done with it. So I felt that I use it like very often, and I am just having trouble making my own models, and it just brought up a lot of issues. So I thought, I'm just gonna make something like that for my own personal use and just put it out there for anyone who wants to use it. And that's how Tabula came about.
And like, do you still use in-game for like when you're modeling something? Do you use tabula?
Yes, I do actually. Because it's not updated yet, if I want to do something in 1.10 also, I actually have to go back to 1.8 and then make the model in there and then export it to use in 1.10. But thankfully, the Minecraft model format hasn't really changed for entities and like tile entities, special renderers, those kind of things. It hasn't really changed over time. So for quite a while now, the code that's been there, it's still usable in the code that's in Minecraft now.
Huh, that's pretty cool. Like the big 1.8 transition didn't affect that.
No, it didn't. The 1.8 transition only affected mainly items and blocks. In terms of entities and like certain blocks that had special renders, it wasn't affected.
Huh, that's nice. With doors, you're mentioning, that mod was released in a pretty peculiar way because it was just I'm not sure. I forget if it was an April Fool's thing, but it was released and, just a mod that adds doors. That's how it was pitched. But then, you have this crazy thing going on where you can basically like see other parts of the world through these doors. And that was just like a hidden Easter egg feature that people eventually discovered. Um, what made you decide to release that way? Like just for fun?
Yes, mainly just for fun. It was an April Fool's mod. It was released, I think, 2 or 3 days before April Fool's, just to throw people off. But it actually waited to check to see if the local time on, I think, the server or the client was after April Fool's, and then if it was after, and you had the right setup, you had everything just set up perfectly, it would show the other side of the door, the other view of the door, and it was just like a funny thing to just make it, just sit there for a while and just wait till people found out.
Yeah, I think, and there was like a direwolf spotlight, which kind of spoiled it. But I think there were lots of people who just like figured it out on their own, and that must have been pretty funny to see.
Yeah, actually, Ant Venom did a spotlight on it as well.
Yeah, and Ant Venom was one of the early like YouTubers that I think kind of really popularized your mods with their spotlights, right?
Yeah, he actually helped me in terms of like my, you could say, my popularity very early on, and he was gaining popularity himself. So you could say it was a bit of a win-win situation.
Yeah, and have you kept up that kind of like relationship with YouTubers? Like when you release mods, the kind of like pitching them that way or letting people do spotlights. Do you still find that like beneficial?
I do definitely. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to be in touch with a couple of YouTubers in which when I was making something new in my mod, I would just keep them updated on what I was doing. And then they'll be like basically the first ones to make a spotlight on them. But that was back in the day, like a couple of years ago. I've not had as much time to go like keep in touch with all these YouTubers now. Even say with Direwolf, he's a very big mod YouTuber. He's a very big mod YouTuber in terms of like Minecraft.
Hmm.
Even with Direwolf, I haven't really been speaking to him much about what I do in my mods, unfortunately, because medical school just takes so much time.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah. But with that, with the new time constraints you have, where do you see the future of your modding going? Like, are you gonna just focus on updating your existing mods, or are you gonna make any new ones? How do you see that going along?
I do have two mod ideas that I do want to work on, but that, like you said, based on time constraints, for now, it's just going to be updating the mods that I already have out there. When I have time, I will consider like making a new mod or maybe if I'm tired of working on my like the mods that I have already out there, I might make a new one, a very simple one just for fun. But other than that, I don't really see much more because like I'll have to admit there are many times where I've considered quitting, where I've considered like retiring from modding, but I just like kind of just persisted through it. Sometimes I've announced that I'm on hiatus for a couple of months, that sort of thing, as I needed to focus on more things that I have going on in real life. But yeah, I think that's where like that's the most you'll be going lately for the next couple of years or so.
Yeah, it's amazing the commitment you've already had, just how long you've been modding. Like, I think your kind of career is unrivaled, especially if you consider that, you don't make like a thermal expansion or like Thaumcraft style mod where it's like some big content mod. You just make a lot of random mods, and a few of those you have been basically seeing like a lot of versions of Minecraft, and you've also made just a ton of mods along the way. Yeah, thank you again so much for coming on the show. And just thank you for what you've given to modern Minecraft, and I guess will in the future, because if you update those mods, and yeah, and good luck with keeping your time managed and everything. And for everyone watching, thank you. It's been great. You can catch us as a podcast or on YouTube. And do you have any more like closing thoughts?
No, but I definitely enjoyed my time here. It was nice talking to you, kind of nice reminiscing and all. But no, it's actually quite late here right now. It's like 1:16 a.m. right now. I'm actually just looking forward to going to bed. I have to admit, I'm really sorry though. But
No, no, that's fine. I mean, the fact that you're up this late is great. I mean, just being on the show. Thank you so much. Yeah.
oh no, I enjoyed being on here. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And also, you have to turn your AC off for recording, so you're probably like melting right now.
Yeah, I thought he started sweating about 5 minutes ago. It's a very hot
Okay.
country over here.
Okay. Well, I'll let you turn your AC back on. So thanks everyone for watching. See you in the next one. And of course, thank you for coming on, iChun.
All right, no
Bye, everyone.
worries. Bye.
Thank you to all my patrons. If you want to join them, then check out the link in the description to support the show. Thanks, and see you next time.